Hi there, and welcome back to Lessons Learned. I'm Laura Wolpert, and today we are going to explore one of the most commonly asked questions, basically from toddlerhood until retirement. What do you want to be when you grow up? The weight of this question should be quite different depending on what stage of life you're at. But some recent conversations with my two teenage nephews have shown me how that has changed pretty much dramatically over the years, and how we as adults who have either figured out our answer to that question or are still just going with the flow, like myself, have a responsibility to lighten the load of that question for kids, teenagers, and young adults in our own lives. Last week, I was blessed enough to spend some great quality time with my soon-to-be 13-year-old nephew, Matthew. We were walking around the track at my old high school when the conversation about school and work came up, respectively, of course. But what I didn't expect was the genuine thought and concern that he has been putting into this particular question of what do you want to be when you grow up? He mentioned that he had thought about being a truck driver. He thought it would be so cool because he could see the country while also driving, which he thinks he's going to absolutely love. He's a big fan of race cars and driving really fast. Not so sure the truck would deliver the same feeling, but the romanticism of driving across the country has definitely caught his attention. But then he quickly responded by saying, but what about my passion for art and history? Thinking that those would then go to waste. And then his next thought process was, but can I make enough money in art and history? He's 12. Let me say that again. He is a 12-year-old seventh grader who is pondering how to make enough money to survive and have a good future. And that is how he's determining what he thinks he wants to be when he grows up. Now, to me, this is just not okay. No 12-year-old should feel they have the burden of this kind of thought process. And I took it as an opportunity to lighten the conversation and remind him of the one truth that I think everyone, regardless of age, needs to take into account and hear when they are responding to this question. And for me, that is no amount of money will ever make up for waking up every morning and dreading to go to work or hating what you do every single day. No amount of money will make you happy and make up for that kind of misery. Now, that kind of advice is all well and good, but what's the practical application of trying to avoid that? I think it's quite simple, actually. So I encouraged him to focus on the things that he enjoys. What do you like to do? And then focus on the things that you're good at. What skills do you have that you think you're good at doing? What topics in school are you excelling at? And where do those two things intersect? That's the land of where what you like and what you're good at can live together and could be a way to look at your future in a way that could be both fulfilling and prosperous. When you are a toddler or elementary age child, this question is supposed to bring you to the land of make-believe. And it helps our adults determine the things that we enjoy, but may not have the vocabulary or emotional intelligence to explain that to our parents. When we're middle school aged, it's sometimes just a tool to help the adults in our lives figure out what to buy us for our birthdays or special occasions. But it's also a tool for helping to identify role models that could help these middle school age kids determine if this is really something that they're interested in by seeing it in practice. When we're in high school, it should start to help inform what skills and education we want to continue to develop. And a side note to high school guidance counselors everywhere. And again, this is not directed at all of you, but definitely some of you. Stop trying to pad your school's college acceptance numbers by just ticking off the next box in the logical procession of courses for each student. Try listening and getting to know each one of your students and what their strengths and interests are. College is not the only answer, and we need to stop forcing it on everyone. I am particularly sensitive about this topic. I am one of 5 in my family and the only one to have gone to college and grad school. And yet, up until just a few years ago, I struggled more than any of my siblings to find both my financial footing and my direction. And being burdened with excessive student loans in the process certainly did not help. Please understand that for some kids, they know exactly who they want to be and what they want to do. And for them, I am so happy. And sometimes college is the only answer. But for many like me who had no idea what they wanted to be or do when they grew up, college seemed a way of just postponing that decision, but a very expensive way to do that. And there are many of you, just like me at one point, whose meager paying job, even with their multiple degrees, was barely enough to keep rent paid and your student loans paid. Why do we continue to encourage this as the only solution and burden our future with that problem as well, when we can clearly identify it as such? Not every child is meant to go to college. That's never been true, or I should say that's always been true, and college has never been the only solution. And it's time for us to listen to students and allow them to help us guide them in the direction that's best for them, their skills, and their aspirations. I want you to keep in mind that these teenagers, whether they're your nieces, nephews, kids, or your students, are exposed to far more than we ever could have dreamed 20 plus years ago. The internet wasn't a thing. Facebook wasn't even a pipe dream for Mark Zuckerberg. And today, these kids are seeing things that even today we are not exposed to and don't know. So their frame of reference is going to be very different than ours was. At 18, I never could have imagined knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up. I barely knew what to major in college was. But these kids know a lot more than we ever did, and we need to start grappling with that and understanding that they may know themselves a little better than we did at that age because they've been exposed to so much more. So please, let them be a part of their own journey. Let them make some of their own educational decisions and just help them along the way. If you don't know what the best decision or the best advice might be, just ask them. They want to tell you. Open the door and let them walk in. Now, once you begin your career, regardless of how you got there, for most of us, there will inevitably be times where we ask ourselves this very question of what we want to be when we grow up. I do it all the time, and I actually think it's quite healthy. I've been very blessed over the last few years and find myself in a position where I can help support my parents financially as they go deeper into retirement. And I can set myself up to explore the world when the world allows it again. I work remotely and can work from anywhere, and I plan on taking full advantage of that as soon as we can. But I still ask myself this very question, and probably always will. As humans, we're not one-dimensional. We are curious and interested. We get bored and tired. We're excitable and malleable. We change all the time. And so too does our answer to this question. This video is for all of you grappling with that inevitable question of what you want to be when you grow up. And my advice will always remain the same. No amount of money will make you happy if you wake up every morning dreading going to work or hating what you do. So practically, explore the things that you like and the things that you're good at and focus on the space in which they intersect. Among many other things, I personally like to talk to people, to build relationships, to mentor, and to solve problems. I also happen to be good at those things. So for me, the place that those intersect is in the world of sales and marketing. I currently lead a sales team at a marketing agency. And I'm working on building this channel because I feel an obligation and a responsibility to share the things that I have learned in the hopes that it will help make somebody else's journey maybe a little bit easier or have a little bit more direction. So, where do your talents and likes intersect? Are you living and working in that space or working towards it? Comment below how you put your likes and talents to work every single day. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content as I continue to share some of the lessons I've learned along the way. Thank you and look forward to chatting soon. Take care.